All right. Good evening and welcome to the Council of Crowns meeting for the Kingdom of Northreach. Date is June 17th, 2018. I am here with Kingdom Regent. So we're missing the Monarch. Oh, the Monarch of Astrowinds is with us. Monarch of Ravenstone is here. The Monarch of the Moon is here. Monarch of Frozen Coast is here. And the Kingdom Prime Minister is here. Not with us is the Monarch of Icefire Bay. Let's see. I need to send a message out. Forgive me for running a little bit behind on some things here. I need to share this link to the other officers so that they can join us. Give me 2 seconds to do that. Okay, so we're gonna start with the Kingdom Regent report.
Hey there. So the regents met on the 12th. We had myself, Icefire Bay, Ravenstone, and Loop and Moon, although they had some technical difficulties and we weren't actually able to get into the meeting, but we spent like 20 minutes trying to get them in. So it should be counted against them. In any case, stuff that we talked about, Frozen Odyssey, Ravenstone mentioned they have Highland Games coming up, talked a little bit about how Gideon's going to be running them, and said they're going to be making some posts soon on the Northreach page to try to kind of like rally the troops. And they also mentioned that more folks from Loop and Moon have been making it out to their park, which they thought was cool. Icefire Bay has their big 4th of July float that they're going to be doing again, and it looks super awesome. And so I encourage them to advertise that on the Northreach page as well, because there are plenty of people that I think would be willing to go down and rock around on that super sweet Viking float that they have. And they also just got through doing a big like group repair of all of their like loner gear in their Champions War Chest, which I thought was super cool. So yeah, we just got a few like big Kingdom events coming up that are kind of being hosted out of the local regions, and we got folks working on that, and I'm helping them figure out how to get more help when they need it.
Let me unmute myself there. Is all of this stuff updated and ready to go in the calendar?
Everything should be updated except for I just realized the other day that apparently Astral Winds stuff is still on winter time, so I'm going to update that now.
Okay, yeah. Let's get all the regions making sure their stuff's updated in the calendar, and then you just double check everything. Anyone have anything on? Sorry, does anybody on the council have anything for the Kingdom Regent? Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on to the Kingdom Prime Minister.
We've had a couple big events recently, so the ledger is up to date except for the larger events that just happened, though those should be balancing out here soon. I'm expecting by the end of the night. I'm distracted by my birthday, unfortunately. We did fairly well with the Renaissance Fair. I'm sure you'll get a good report from Kraken there and the Guild Master of Engineers. We are short on one Prime Minister right now, so I do need to appoint a new Prime Minister. I want to speak with the Monarch of Astral Winds about that, get a feel for who would be interested and rightly responsible for that. Currently, I'll be entering their credits to try to smooth over the transition. Otherwise, we're just getting through the large events. I need to have all of my current prime ministers added to our bank account, but that's just a couple signatures and a board meeting vote.
Okay, and we can do that board meeting electronically?
Yes, sir. I can get it all
Wow.
drafted up and just we can make a vote on it online, and we'll draft minutes and send them off.
Okay. So we got a couple of big things coming up for your council. Elections is coming up. I see you're doing a pretty good job of keeping track of all the candidates. Let us know if you need anything to help get your all of your assistants in line for elections.
Absolutely.
And
The local officers have been doing great with that.
good. And then are you still working on the 501c3? How's that going?
I'm almost at the point where we can actually go through and submit all the paperwork. As soon as I draft up the last of this report, we should be all up to date and we're good to go. I can submit the paperwork.
Does anybody else on the council have anything for the Kingdom Prime Minister? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the Kingdom Champion.
Hey guys, I don't have a whole lot. Newbie barbecue just happened. For those of you that couldn't make it, we missed you. But the event went really well. I think I took some time to talk to the new members individually, and they all seem to be loving it. So I think everything went really well. I have been working on updating the Book of War on the forums, like you asked, Goran. It's not all done yet by any means, but I have some games uploaded, and I'm hoping to have it as caught up as I possibly can by the next time the COC meets. But if that should not work out for some weird reason, it will definitely be done before I step down.
Okay, make sure you're working with your council on that. Give them the opportunity to sort of add to the Book of War.
Yeah, for sure. I've sent messages to all of them, and I talked to them the last time we had a Council of War meeting here earlier this month and asked them for their input and told them that I'm doing this and that I need information from them. I've received a link to a Google Drive from Drake with all of his battle games and everything he's worked on, but I haven't received anything from anyone else yet. So I will post a reminder to them to get that information to me. But in the meantime, I'm just going to continue with the information I already have and anything they send me.
Okay, sounds good. Does anybody on the council have anything else for the Kingdom Champion?
Thanks for running games this weekend.
Yeah, man, it was my pleasure. I had a good time yesterday.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to the Kingdom Guildmaster of Reeves.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? All right. So I've got a lot of things going on with the rules library right now. Gordon, you've talked to me a little bit about the formatting. I've got a lot of that under works right now. I just got the link to the Google Docs, so I'm making efforts right now to re-edit, re-improvise, and get something a little bit more user-friendly and clickable, for lack of better words, to get up on that site like you're saying with Google Sites. I think it is a good idea. Additionally, the newbie barbecue went great. I had some good Reeves questions asked to me and some really good Reeve turnout. And I was really happy and impressed with the involvement that I saw between myself and Lucian and the champions and guildmasters. I believe it was a wonderful success. As for Reeve testing, I'm prepared. I'm ready, and all of my GMRs are ready to do their regional administration of the Guildmaster, or correction, the Reeves test and Kapora test. They are ready to rock and roll on that. At this time, that's pretty much all I've got.
Okay. When do you think you'll have the rules library in a form where the COC should be looking at it?
By the end of the week.
Okay. Does anybody have anything for the Kingdom Guildmaster of Reeves?
I've already asked him everything I need to ask and whatnot, just kind of before this happened. Just me and Matt talked a lot, so I'm all good on my end.
Okay. Then thank you, Kingdom officers. Move on to the next part of the all thing. So does anybody have, or sorry, the next part of the agenda, which is the July all thing. Does anybody on the council have anything right now to add to the July all thing?
I'll get back to you on that one. I might have some rewording for the admin manual that I think is important to maintaining the 501c3, but I need to make sure that all my ducks are in a row before I present that.
Yeah, and feel free to, you can workshop it on the Facebook page too.
Absolutely. Just want to make sure I got a full understanding of anything that I need to submit so that it's right before I post anything. Otherwise, I'm just burning people's time.
Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else have anything right now for the all thing? And it's okay. We have some time before it is due. I just want to make sure that we're thinking about it. Okay, in that case, I'm going to go skip the thing on here, so I'm going to go backwards. Guildmaster of Engineers report.
All right, so there's major oversight on a lot of the pommels with our offers that we made. That's my bad. I should have tugged on them a little bit harder. But initial inspection, just tugging on them, they seemed like they were solid, but we did have a lot of them fall apart at the pommel. Beyond that, we've sold 86, or I think it was 84 boxers, is the report Franklin gave me at Red Fair. So this coming weekend, I plan on heading down to Frozen Odyssey. We're going to do repairs to anything that we have existing, and we're going to process material down there, just since we're going to have nighttime downtime. And that'll give Proco a good opportunity to work with this situation as well. I need to get in touch with, I believe Jen, excuse me, Lucy might be able to correct me, but they're supposed to be having a booth down at their 4th of July parade. They have a little after party at one of the parks down there on Main Street Loop. And I think we have a booth there, but I'm not sure. But we might be doing buffer sales down there. I need to know for sure so we can get material down to Kenai hopefully this weekend.
So I can answer that for you real quick.
Oh, excellent.
Hunter. Yeah. So yes, we are having a 4th of July booth, and we do sell swords every year, and they sell pretty well. So if we could get, I would say, between 25 and 50 swords, ideally, more if possible, to sell, that'd be great.
I can get you way more than that. Don't you even worry about it.
I would hope so. I'm just.
Well, technically, we already have more than that as soon as we fix the pommels, but yeah, we will be able to get you guys stocked up. We'll try to get some of the cool pattern stuff that sells really well. So you guys should be stocked up for your 4th of July, and then I think after that we'll have Highland Games, and we'll have to see what we got to do about that. We'll see if we can do some offer sales there too.
All right, so I'm going to back up. Did you say that we sold 84 swords at Ren Fair?
That's the number that I was given by Kraken. this is another reason why I feel like we should diversify a little bit, something a little bit dressier. I think the thing is that people have seen this. We've not only have we been selling these things for years, but there's that other group that sells that product that's technically not AMP card legal, but people have seen this stuff. I can't help but feel like they're probably over it a little bit. So that's why I posted regarding maybe some simple axe designs, hammer designs, things like that. See if we can't make something like that work. Shields.
The financials balance to that inventory report. It is about 84.
That's rough. Okay.
The ring, though, did significantly better.
That's good. Very good. Okay. Does anyone on the council have anything for the Guildmaster of Engineers?
This might be more for Mara, but do we have? Did we meet our expected income for Ren Fair?
We're slightly lower than we estimated. I should have the report on the COC tonight. Currently, we grossed about 4.5K.
Okay, so you'll have the event report for us tonight?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay, then if there's nothing else for the Guildmaster of Engineers, we'll move on to clan travel coordination. Anybody?
Sorry. So I have a Facebook group posted that has had very little anything going on in it. I posted initially just with dates and stuff like that, and times we were expecting folks to get in. It looks like Richter is planning on getting in after that because that was what he'd been advised by Hadelin, which totally makes sense. So it's coming up soon, and so we'll probably, I guess I will start sharing, I'll put together a nicer post on there that sort of has all of the details in one nice place that includes here are some suggested flights and so on and so forth. And I'll share that out to the Northreach page, and I'll get that done by the end of tonight, so that if folks are kind of on the fence, they'll have an easy way to get to all the information they need to. Other than that, it looks like it's going to be probably a smaller group this year than last year, but that sort of makes sense given the fact that we aren't going for Kingdom this time around. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Make sure you get with Hadelin so she can give you the information for the rental car company that we've used for the last, 5 years or whatever. And then we also need to coordinate hotel stays.
Okay, cool.
Just for confirmation, we do have the Northreach cabin.
Yes. Let me double check. I don't remember who had said that they called and made sure we had it, but it was posted in the in that group. Well,
I believe Mara paid the invoice, so we should be good.
That's usually a pretty strong indicator. Yeah, they took our money. Hopefully that's good enough.
Okay. Anyone on the council have anything for Minnie as far as clan travel goes? Okay, then we'll move on to talk about State Fair. Our application will be finalized tomorrow, right, Mara?
Correct.
Okay. So the only thing we need to do is settle on an autocrat for the event, and that's, I mean, just start going, I guess. I think this year we're going to need to do a little bit of an overhaul on the actual booth itself and what it looks like. We definitely need to repaint some things and sort of shore all that up. But other than that, since we have swords going now, I mean, we kind of have the operation and the formula down pretty well. It'll be very similar to what we did at the Ren Fair, so it should be pretty easy. The tricky part is just scheduling all of the shifts.
I feel like that's always the hardest part of Ren Fair because most people have day jobs, and that's a long time to be at the Ren Fair, or not the Ren Fair, but State Fair, and not be at work.
Yeah, luckily the shifts that are the hardest to fill are the ones where we need the fewest people. So in the past, I think we may have overscheduled some of those shifts. We really probably only need one person, at least for chunks at a time. Because if you look at historically at the amount of money and stuff we make, nobody really comes through the booth during those times. We're just required to be open for to meet the fair's requirements. Does the council have any questions regarding the state fair?
Previously, they required we sell those flat blades rather than round blades because of a conflict with another booth. Is that still an issue?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think they pay that close of attention or really care. Yeah, I don't think it'll be an issue. I mean, if it is,
I think he should sell flat blades and we should sell omni blades because his stuff isn't AmpGuard legal, so who cares? Anyway, if we need to make some flat blades, a table saw fixes that solution really quick.
No, I think we'll be fine. Okay, storage solution. Did everybody do their homework?
Trailers are expensive. Even small ones can be pretty expensive. I felt like that was the best solution, at least in my book, something that's portable. Bosco's does something similar. They stash all their inventory up in a trailer and then roll it out to wherever they're selling stuff, and they set up and you're good to go. As far as long-term storage solutions, I don't know anybody who's got a plot of land that's going to let us store a trailer or even our loose assets, castle and whatnot, on their property without a substantial amount of money or without worrying about it being ruined or something like that.
Okay, anybody else got anything to add to that?
So I didn't do as much as I'd hoped to, but I did look more at short term than long term. Things like storage units in Eagle River that we could get for close to about $1,000 a year. But again, that has that reoccurring fee, so I'm not sure which I would prefer. Buying a $3,000 Connex or and just having to spend $3,000 once, or having like a Eagle River based storage unit and having to spend $1,000 every year we use it. But I think that's a discussion we can have, whether or not we want a smaller recurring fee or one-time fee. I think is really where that's going to decide the solution we get, I think.
I took a look around. I was looking at both essentially like storage unit. I was doing some math there, checking with a couple of the places, at least locally, and yeah, my numbers pretty much match up with what Blue's got. I think that a Connex is definitely probably it's going to be the cheaper route in the long run. The only problem is we then have to find someplace to put the Connex, and that's where I really hit my wall. Is I was even looking for like cheap property listings in a few places, and it's just kind of prohibitively expensive, at least from what I found. I am in no means a real estate expert, but I was not able to find anything that I could somehow make work.
Another thing I did find that's worth bringing up is with Connexes, a lot of places that have storage units also offer Connex like parking as a service. But then again, you have a recurring fee, which is smaller than a storage unit, but I feel like kind of detracts from the one-time lump sum benefit if it also costs, maybe $400, $500 a year to park it on top of $3,000 up front. I might, if that's the case, I kind of prefer not spending $3,000 up front.
I think the problem with a nailed, or at least a mostly nailed down storage like Connex, the big downfall is not, you can't pick it up and just move it on a whim. You got to find somebody with a CDL and a big truck to move that stuff around, or you have to bring in a truck. And we're in the same situation we are with the state fair right now, where we still have to go to that place to get our stuff out. That's why I'd rather see something mobile, something that we can, find someplace and pay somebody, hey, can we stash our trailer here until we need it? Otherwise, I'd say we might as well just stay with the state fair until something else, lucrative comes up.
Okay. So a couple of points there. The state fair has expressed some displeasure in storing what they described as a pile of lumber. In their booth storage area, they sort of expect us to store a booth. So if we do keep storing stuff there, we'll have to come up with a different way to, configure it maybe. I know I would probably be okay with AmGuard storing a trailer on my property. I've got some space where I could do that pretty easily. So that would be not too much of an issue. I've been looking for inexpensive trailers. I haven't really found any. I found some pretty inexpensive Connexes in the $2,000 range. But like Hunter said, that requires us to have a large flatbed trailer to pull it up onto and move it if we ever want to move it. Luckily, honestly, if we do want to put a Connex down, wherever we put it will likely be semi-permanent, i.e. we're not going to move it every year. We might move, it might get moved once every few years. And having, renting somebody to come and bring it and move it somewhere might cost us a few $100. So it wouldn't be, that bad of a thing. But if we could find a, 20-foot trailer, like an enclosed trailer, like that would obviously be ideal. I don't know that we're going to find one of those for anything less than, $10,000. So, so there's that. So that really makes me circle back around to the original question that I asked the council when we started this process, is how much is the council comfortable spending on this solution? Because it really does, knowing how much we want to spend really does tell us which of these avenues we need to sort of focus in on.
I feel like that question would be more easily answered when we start writing our budget for next year.
I think
rather than trying to dip into what we have now, let's look at what we have going on in the future and then say, yes, let's spend this much.
So I just want to point out that over on the YouTube link or the YouTube video, Kelly had a really good suggestion of kind of the best of both worlds. What he said was an old school bus, and you get like an old school bus, you yank the seats out. From what I understand, I'm not sure if you need like a full CDL to drive one of those. And just glancing on Craigslist, we got an old Beamer for about $800, all the way up to what looks like just retired school buses for 4,000 to 5,000. So it's like that's another option. It's just not something that I thought of until Billy said something, and it was like one of those head snapping moments. So I think it's also something we're looking into.
I think looking at an $800 bus, though, my biggest question is what's it going to take to actually make that thing move?
I don't know. I think buses are cheap to begin with.
Yeah. Like seeing that there's some like used school buses for $4,000 to $5,000 on Craigslist is actually kind of awesome, because that's right in between a Connex and a trailer. That actually super works. But kind of back to the original question of how much we want to spend on it. After looking around, I think the sweet spot in storage, there's kind of two of them. If you're looking at like a recurring price, I think the sweet spot's between $800 to $1,200, and if you're looking at a one-time drop this much money on it, it's somewhere between $2,000 to $4,000. So I think that's kind of somewhere in that neighborhood. I think is where we should put our limit as to what we want to spend.
Okay.
Would you guys be all right with, like, say I have access to like a gigantic 15-passenger van that has all but the passenger and driver's seats stripped out of it and the floor is completely flat? Do you think we can store everything that we could possibly need in that? No?
No, not even close. So, okay, so a couple things. One, there are some additional things that go along with the school bus. Like if you buy a school bus, you immediately have to repaint the entire thing before you're allowed to drive it on the road, unless you have a CDL with a school bus endorsement. And then there's some other things that go into it. And like Lou was saying, there's also the mechanical upkeep that goes along with that. School bus, eats a lot more fuel than a trailer does, and it has far more moving parts than a trailer, and infinitely more than a Connex. So those are things to factor in as well. What it sounds like might be the best solution is maybe we approach both of these. Maybe what we do is we look for a storage unit that is like a 1-year kind of storage unit. That we just, like I said, we just use until the next budget is written, and then we let the next council figure out how much money they want to devote to a permanent storage solution. That might be the way to go, because that might only cost us $500 to do it until February. That's an option. The other option would be to like actually build something that's more booth-like to put our stuff in at the state fair. The problem with the state fair solution is that we don't have access to it in the wintertime.
Need to remember.
I actually think it's pretty important that we get our stuff out of the state fair because of the access issue, especially if we start using our storage solution for other assets of ours, things we use for not just Wolf's Cry, but maybe other events, Ren Fair, Frozen Odyssey, like all of our Northreach stuff. It's a lot easier to get into a storage unit somewhere in Eagle River, Palm, or Anchorage than it is to get into the state fair to grab that stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that if we were to look for a storage solution, that Palmer would probably have the cheapest storage options, because land is not at a premium out there. So, Gideon, would you have time over the next few days to just research traditional storage units?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So from what I recall, we were looking for a roughly 20 by 20 space.
I think in a pinch we could do 20 by 10. It would just, everything would be packed in there pretty tight, and we wouldn't be able to, search through it easily. But I think for right now, if that's the way we had to go, we could make that work. Okay.
I can definitely tell you that I actually saw, I have it written down in my notes here. There's at least one rental place with a 20 by 10 for $120 a month, which is, pretty cheap.
And if that's month to month, they might actually be cheaper if we agree to sign for a year.
And they may have differences between heated and unheated storage. So if you could like just sort of do some research on that, maybe find the 3 cheapest places, call them all, and then talk to them about unheated, like, you know, long-term, like 6-month or 12-month leases, that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely can do.
Okay, then I'm going to assign you that homework. If you could get back to us on the Facebook page later this week, once you've got that done, I think that'll really help us figure it out. Because right now, I think that we've only got, you know, a month and a half left in office, and we need to come up with something rather than hand it all off to the next council. So I think that a short-term traditional storage option will buy them the time they need to work it into the budget, something more permanent. Does that sound like the way to go for everybody in the council, or does somebody have a different idea they'd like us to explore?
The temporary solution is better than a solution that's potentially going to lose us access to what we have. So I'd say that's a good route to go.
All right, give me a quick second to make some notes here. All right, moving on, we've got the Crown Calls Committee. I'm going to report. I'm going to table that because I haven't heard back from Astriana yet. So I will pester her this week and then post something on the Facebook page. Let's see, event updates. We got some events coming up. Blue, you guys, you got Frozen Odyssey next week, right? Do you guys, Blue, do you guys need anything from the council for that event?
I think we are good as far as I know. I guess that's kind of a Deli question if he wants to drop something in chat on the YouTube video.
Okay. Let's see. We'll get the Ren Fair report this week. Can we get a quick update on Wolf's Cry?
Still looking for sheriffs to fill in the slots for the Mammoth ticket holders. Need to settle in on what officially we want to have for dinner during feast. I figure Friday night we just do burgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. Ray should be getting me a full list of everything she wants to do with the Assassins game. Blue has a full schedule as far as battle games and things like that that I need to review and post. Those should be posted by the end of the week, and that should happen. I might do it Sunday just so not to interfere with Frozen Odyssey, since that's a thing. Don't want to tread on people's stuff too bad. I've also reached out to every kingdom that I have access to over Facebook right now. They all know about Wolf's Cry too.
And the website's up and running?
Yes, as long as GCI is not being weird right now. I check in from time to time. I also check on the receipt ledgers just to see how many Mammoth tickets have been sold. I haven't done that today, so I don't know if we have all of our Mammoth tickets sold, but we'd like to get those moved as quickly as possible.
Okay, I think we're probably close enough to Frozen Odyssey that it's not going to hurt that event to start doing some plugs.
All right.
So let's go ahead and start that. Remind people that Mammoth tickets are out there. Remind them that they're limited and then we are running out. And if they want theirs, they need to get it soon. And have the cups been ordered? You're muted.
Got my buddy who does like Photoshop and shit like that. He's done a design for me. That's basically what I'm waiting on. So I've been trying to get a hold of him, but he's not been available for the mugs. Other than that, I just gotta plug it into the website and get them ordered. How much? I guess I do have a question. How much do you usually spend on mugs every year, like per mug?
It has varied a lot. When we're done with the meeting, give it me offline, and I'll go back and pull some stuff up. But please be aware, it can take 6 weeks to order those mugs, so they need to be
okay.
this week. So if you haven't got a design put together for the next couple of days, get a hold of me. We'll work together.
All right. The other thing would be, I guess I probably should really push to get those Mammoth tickets sold, because they're supposed to be getting a personally engraved mug, and it'd be stupid to make that unless we want to just get somebody locally to do it. I know lots of tattoo artists, but so I'll get that design together, get everything together, so as soon as I can say go, we'll go.
All right. Anybody on the council have anything about Wolf's Plan they want to talk about? Okay, how about Highland Games? Where are we at on that?
Okay, so Highland Games. The problem I am running into is I need to get a temporary business, a special events business license for the city of Palmer, and they require. Actually, I've got the form right here. They require information that I don't have, and I have not been able to get a hold of yet. So I need our federal ID / social security number. I need. I know we're a. I need like the official business name, the official business owners. That's just stuff that I'd asked Mara for. She was trying to hunt down for me, but she was having some paperwork scramble on her end too. So it's definitely something I need to get a hold of, because they've been really gracious with us, but I don't know how long that's going to last.
Okay, so you need that for the Palmer business license?
Yeah, the Highland Games requires a special event business license from the city of Palmer, so I have to have that for the Highland Games application. It's $10. It's just a temporary thing that they do, and it's just that particular form is what's catching us up, because I don't have the official business owners and the federal ID or social security number for business.
So, as a nonprofit organization, and Goran, correct me if I'm wrong, but like as a business, we're not owned by like individuals. We own ourselves. We're our own entity, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, you would put down the CEO or the registered agent. Either one would be fine.
If it would be
Take
easier.
a quick second to see if I can find that information for you.
Okay. Also, if it would be easier, I could actually shoot you either the link or the file itself for that application, and I mean, if you were more comfortable knocking that out and then just sending me a scan back of it, I could get that printed out, take it into City of Palmer City Hall tomorrow, and have it done. So I do that. I get the thing from them. I scan our receipt, send it to the Highland Games, and we should be good to go.
All right, sorry. It's in the Google Drive. I'm not logged into that particular account. I was just seeing if I had anything that was shared with me. But we have all the information because we fill it out every year. Oh wait, maybe I just found it. Not. Oh, I found the insurance rider for the Highland name. I thought that might have been it. Okay. After the meeting, I'll sit down and get you that information. We have all of that. So okay. We'll get that to you so that you can get with the Highland Games folks tomorrow. Anything else for the Highland Games?
You gotta need swords.
I was actually about to check with you, Hunter, and see if we have their swords, if we needed to get them.
Let's get through at least most of what we got already. Sword sales are pretty slow at Ren Fair, so we'll see how they sell at 4th of July, and then try to eat up the rest of the material we got. But otherwise, I don't want to. I want to avoid spending any extra money on something that we don't know is selling well this year. So we'll do some speculation in the coming weeks here. But yes, I will bring you swords.
Sounds good.
Okay. Moving on, we've got SenshiCon coming up here in September. I'm assuming the council still wants to move forward with that event, which means we need to locate an autocrat. Is that correct?
Isn't that in September?
Correct.
Okay. Probably, do we need to put out our RFP for that?
That's a good question. I think it's also a small enough event that we can just assign it to Luke and Moon.
All right. I know we got a lot of people in Luke and Moon that are pretty giddy over that particular event, so that probably shouldn't be a hard sell.
Jonathan Jacobs asked me to make sure you're aware that he did request, put in a request for SenshiCon. And it's in the AK Amp card email.
Okay, I'll take a look at that and post it up to the COC Facebook page here tonight or tomorrow.
So real quick, going back to Frozen Odyssey, Deli's comments in the live stream said that he could use some emotional support and Northreach walkie-talkies.
Yep, I've got all the walkie-talkies. I pulled them out of the storage area for the M card stuff. He or somebody can swing by and grab them, or I'm also willing to just bring them down with me, whatever works best for him.
Okay, and I guess I'll send you some virtual hugs for the emotional support.
I will second the motion to send Deli hugs.
Yes, Deli, you can swing by and pick them up on Wednesday. Okay, so see the event that falls on the calendar after SenshiCon is Grand Academy. Hadeland is the autocrat of that and is working on it, and I believe she's waiting till a little bit later in the season to create a big flurry of information on that, so as to not distract people from the other events that are going on. But we should start seeing advertisements and stuff for that soon. And I think the next event after Grand Academy is Dungeon Crawl. We don't really have anything between October and February, right?
I think Abram wants to run his old Christmas party again, so he'll probably be doing that. But other than that, it should be that and then Dungeon Crawl.
Okay. I will. Let's see. We have a submitted bid for SenchiCon. So there's State Fair. So I'll post some stuff about State Fair and Dungeon Crawl here soon, and apply for those, and we'll get that sorted out here quick. Any other events that the council would like to discuss? All right, are there, do you guys currently have any areas of the admin manual that you would like to, the council to consider updating before the end of our terms?
There was one thing that I was looking at for officer attendance requirements that I think we should update for kingdom officers, because I think we should encourage kingdom officers to travel more, and with the current ruling that missing 6 park days in your home kingdom would automatically remove you from office, I think it would be a good idea to change that so that any attendance for a kingdom officer in any park of Northreach does not count against their attendance record, to just help encourage Northreach officers to travel to parks.
That's already covered in the admin manual.
Is it? I thought it was only like representation out of state and stuff like that.
I don't think it says out of state. I think it just says absences that where you're officially doing AMCARD stuff. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Don't count. So I'll pull that section up and look at it. Yeah, so the section you're looking at is A63, and it pretty clearly says that kingdom officers that fail to attend meetings, not meetings to the areas that they're assigned, but just meetings in general, whereas, which is differentiated from regional officers, which have to attend meetings to their assigned area. Let me take a look here. Oh, no, okay, I see. Where's it at? So yeah, right there it's subsection A, where if you're representing the organization at national AMCARD events, or demonstrations or other official functions, are not considered an absence for the purposes of the section. So, I mean, the Kingdom Champion traveling to another region is absolutely an official function of his job. So those would not count against him.
But as a note, how does that correlate with regular member? Because to be a regular member and a voting eligible, that counts for your local park. I still think this needs to be addressed for the regular members.
think that's covered as well, but let me double check. Yeah, if you look at
It might actually not be.
If you look at section A2,
It might not be a.
Blue, hold on a second, please. The requirements are that they attend 12 regular meetings within the last 180 days. It doesn't say anything about it having to be at the region that you decide. Did you get that, Mara?
Yes, sorry, I was just trying to pull up the corpora on my phone.
No worries. Yeah, I think that's something that we removed a couple of revisions ago simply because of how confusing and headachy it was, and we realized there really wasn't any value to it. You still can only vote in one region, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so Blue, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just going to say it might be worth it to make it so that regular membership is like attendance is across the kingdom, not just to the region in which you're assigned, but that's already the way it is. So no change required.
Hooray!
I will say that as part of the Crown Call committee review process, I've been reading the corporas of other kingdoms, and ours is infinitely easier to read than a lot of other kingdoms.
Hooray! That's good to hear. I know there are some newer kingdoms though that their corporas aren't 20 years old, and so they might have put some really cool new stuff in there. So I'm glad you guys are reading through those and kind of familiarizing yourselves with how they do it. Because if they've got good ideas, we should steal them.
I like how you use the term steal instead of borrow, because that really,
Yeah, I'm not giving
ownership. It's like the best drummers in the world don't steal chops, or don't borrow chops, they steal them, right?
All right, so I'm going to take the officer attendance one off the list here because I think it's already covered pretty well in the bylaws. Is there anything else that you guys think we need to review for the admin manual? We don't have to put it all down now, but I need you guys to be thinking about this because if any of this stuff does have to go to an all thing, July is the last time to do it before it gets pushed off onto the next council. So we've got about 2.5, 3 weeks till we have to have all that stuff finalized for all thing review, if it needs to go on the all thing agenda. So that's a homework for each member of the council is please make note of any issues or discrepancies or I don't know, anything that could be better in the admin manual specifically, and get that to the council within the next couple of weeks so that we can review it, decide what we want to do with it, and do that. Okay, so the other thing, the next thing on the agenda here is the AI funds transfer. So we need to figure out how we're going to do that. I actually think that it's probably appropriate for us to pawn this off on the Prime Minister and sort of set that up. So Mara, what we need is we need you to propose a timeline for the council of when we can transfer the 5% of this year's budget to the MCARD International. It doesn't have to be in a lump sum. It can be broken into installments or however you want to propose it. But we need to get that, at least the plan of action, voted on and implemented so that we can communicate that with them and they can work that into their process as well.
So this is something I've been having a little bit of trouble with here is that when I, for one, seconded the motion that we would do this, and maybe I misunderstood, but also as the way it appeared on the all things, I was under the impression that this was meant to be a thing that we started doing beginning with our next fiscal year, not trying to round up enough money from our budget this year and try to make this happen. So, did I miss something somewhere, or am I the only one that's crazy?
I don't know. Was anybody else under that impression?
I mean, honestly, that would be my default assumption, unless it were explicitly stated otherwise, because that's how we make budgets. But you know,
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat there. I thought it was going to be something that would be considered and included in an incoming budget, not trying to, for lack of a better term, shoehorn it into this one.
now I will say, and I mentioned this earlier, I think, Gordon, before you got in, if like two things, like one, if you or somebody has already had conversations with Antcard International and they're sort of expecting that money and they've already kind of planned for it, I think we should totally try to not leave them hanging if they're expecting it before the next like budget season, essentially. And two, you know, just because we didn't budget for it doesn't mean we can't also do it. So if it costs us nothing in the sense of, you know, the opportunity cost for that money is small, like giving that 5% doesn't mean that Dungeon Crawl is going to be bad because we don't have enough money for it, that sort of thing, then we should totally try to we should put in the extra effort to try to find that 5% before the next budget year. But if it's going to cause us stress or bad events or whatever, we probably should just try for next year, is my thought.
Okay, well, first of all, I'll apologize for the confusion with the council. I have not committed us to anything with AI one way or the other. So this is purely internal at this point. So I think the easiest way to resolve this officially is I'm just going to call for a vote on whether or not you guys would like to find the money in this budget and apply it, or start doing it next year.
I mean, can we preface that with like a little bit of discovery to know whether or not it would be like burdensome for us to find it this year?
Sure. We can actually table that vote for the next meeting. And Mara, could you look at the budget and give us some information on how the landscape would look if we were to donate the money this year, as opposed to putting it off? Would you be comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I'd be comfortable getting that for you.
Okay.
The other option could possibly be, since we are starting this halfway through the year, if we did 2.5% for this year, I don't know if that would be an appropriate thing to do, but since we're halfway through the year when we did this vote, you know, if this is something that we want to start doing immediately, I don't know if this would be something that needs to go to an all thing, or if this is something that, you know, we are, I don't know if prorating it is the right word, but starting with, you know, this half of our fiscal year coming up here shortly.
So let's do it this way, Mara. If you would put together some information for us that shows us what it would look like if we gave the full 5%, and if that, in your professional opinion, looks less than desirable, then throw some information at us as to, you know, what amount of money would become more desirable. It might be the 2.5% that Hunter mentioned, and it might only be 2% this year, and then we work 5% of the budget next year, whatever. Any of those options, just sort of let the council know what we can do without damaging our normal operations, and doing that. The All Things already voted that they want us to spend this money. The timing of it is, I mean, that's something that I feel comfortable with the council implementing, unless there's a bunch of, you know, unless there's a divided council on the topic. But if we can come up with a solution that we all agree with, then we can move forward with that. So, so just come back at us with a few scenarios, Mara. You know, sort of a full amount, a zero amount, and something in between scenario.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is anybody on the council adverse to that? Would you like to explore something else?
Sounds like a plan to me. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page.
I totally agree, and I apologize if we weren't on the same page. We'll make it right now and move forward on the same page. Okay, now the next item on the agenda is Interkingdom Affairs. For those of you guys who have been paying attention to the various Facebook conversations, there was the large conversation regarding the decision made by the monarch of the Celestial Kingdom, or the officers of the Celestial Kingdom, involving the unbanning of an individual who had been banned for a COC 3 violation involving children. That sort of blew up. It became a big issue. It went to the Circle of Monarchs, where several other past issues involving previous officers of the Celestial Kingdom, including voter manipulation, several of their monarchs being banned, etc. And I'm just giving you the cliff notes here, but the result of all of that conversation is that the Circle of Monarchs voted overwhelmingly to institute a series of sanctions against the Celestial Kingdom, in which they were basically being given some processes that they have to develop and some benchmarks that they have to achieve under the scrutiny of the Circle of Monarchs, and failure to do so could potentially affect their contract with Amtgard in general. And as you can imagine, in a situation like that, that has had both positive and negative reception from the Amtgard and the Celestial Kingdom particularly. And so we are currently dealing with that. That was followed very shortly by the King of the Wetlands and seconded by the King of the pro tem King of the Celestial Kingdom, a motion to remove Brennan from the Amtgard International Board of Directors, based on the way that he brought up the issues in the Celestial Kingdom to the Amtgard national page. Supposedly, it's also based on some other issues from the past, although I haven't gotten a lot of details on what those other issues are beyond them bringing up a AI BOD memo that was sent to somebody that had dicks watermarked all over the paper. So that's kind of what's going on the COM page. You guys are everybody has access to that page. You can't post, but you can read everything on it. It's public. So if you guys have any questions about that, you are absolutely welcome to shoot them my way. Right now, I was one of the 15 kings or queens that voted for the sanctions against the Celestial Kingdom. I feel like there's enough going on down there that Amtgard in general needs to take a look and help them develop some best practices and kind of find a way to move past some of this controversial stuff that's been happening. I currently am not in support of removing Brennan from the board of directors based on the reasoning that the monarchs have given that made the proposal. I feel it looks very much like retaliation for him bringing up the Celestial Kingdom's issue and making it very public. While the Circle of Monarchs page is public and anybody in Amtgard can go read it, it's a pretty boring page, and so not a lot of people pay attention to it. So I wouldn't call it, I don't know, keeping it off of the Amtgard page and then saying that it's public on the COM page, to me, is not in the spirit of transparency. And so I feel like people are basically coming down on Brennan for a couple of reasons. One, they don't like the guy. He's a pretty polarizing individual. And so a lot of this is based on personal issues, I feel. And it feels like they're just retaliating because he essentially started a shitstorm when he brought this stuff to the Amtgard national page. And I don't think that's his fault. I think that's based mostly on the subject matter that he brought. They just don't like the way he handled it. So I'm not really a big fan of telling our leaders that they can't communicate with the people they represent. I think that that's a bad precedent to set. And I also feel like when we as an organization screw up, bringing that information to the members publicly and letting people know that, hey, we're screwing something up is not something we should punish somebody for. That I think sets a horrible precedent as well. So those are my positions so far as King of Northreach on those issues. So if anybody on the council or anybody viewing this at home, if you have any questions or if you would like to express your thoughts on the matter, you absolutely can come to me, and I would love to hear from you. So those are the inter-kingdom affairs that are happening at the moment. Anybody have any questions on that? Or comments or whatever?
Nothing that's not terribly sarcastic, so I'd like to move on. That's
fair. There is an agenda that's been posted for the Circle of Monarchs meeting. It's on the Electric Samurai forums, which is where we post all of our official stuff. But there are links to it on the Circle of Monarchs page, and if you guys have any interest in that, you're welcome to go look at it. In which case, you're welcome to give me your thoughts and input, and I'll actually probably post it to the Northreach page in general, because I'd like to collect feedback from the Kingdom before I go sit through a 6-hour meeting and talk about all of this stuff and vote for us. So, yeah, so that's where we're at on inter-kingdom stuff. So, if there are no other thoughts or issues on that, actually, does anybody have anything they want to chat about in the inter-kingdom stuff? Otherwise, we'll move to closed session.
I hope everybody has a great week. See you all at Frozen Odyssey.
Yep. It's going to be awesome. All right. In that case, we're going to move to closed session. Thank you guys for paying attention at home. We're now going to chat about some things that we can't chat about publicly. So have a great week, like Hunter said, and we'll see you all down in Kenai next weekend.